This is day number 25 of the 30-Day Solo Podcast Challenge. I'm David Hooper from BigPodcast.com, and my job is to help you grow a big audience for your message. What is big? Well, that's up to you. But to be successful, it's probably not as big as you think. In this series of episodes, the 30-Day Solo Podcast Challenge, I'm helping you to do three things: clarify your message, improve your delivery, and make more money. If you've got the right message, you're going to attract people to it. If you've got the right offer, you're going to have more people buy it. And if you're a celebrity, which is what you get when you've got a solo podcast, you can charge more money than a non-celebrity would. You may not think of yourself as a celebrity in the general sense, and maybe you're not known when you walk down the street, but to your people, you are a celebrity. And this is what I'm going to help you do through the 30-Day Solo Podcast Challenge. If you haven't already heard the intro episode, listen to it first. That explains the what and the why of everything happening here. To do that, go to bigpodcast.com/subscribe. Not only will you get the intro episode, you get all 30 days of the Solo Podcast Challenge. I'm going to walk you through this process step by step. By the time you get to the end of it, you're going to see a big difference, not only in how you communicate your message, but in the people that you attract, who you are attracting to you. And as I mentioned, what you can charge for what it is that you're offering. Previously, 2 episodes ago, talked about the future, what you see for the future in your niche, in your market. Yesterday, we talked about the past, mistakes that you made, maybe things that you wouldn't do again if you had the opportunity to go back. Today, the focus is the present. I've got 2 questions for you. 1, what is a current struggle or something that you're working on now? The second question, what's something good that is happening to you right now? Here's why this is important. Too often, we expect people to be mind readers. We want them to automatically know what our business is, what our services are, and what we're selling. To sum this up, we are way too close to the information that we deliver. We think because we're thinking about it all the time, we're in the studio every single episode, we edit every single episode, we publish every single episode, that people are actually listening to every single episode, hearing every single word that we deliver. That's not the case. And here's an example that relates to this podcast. There are 32 episodes in the 30-Day Solo Podcast Challenge. That's 30 days of exercises. But there's also the on-ramp, the intro, what I mentioned a minute ago, that talks about how the challenge works, the what and the why of everything happening here. And there's the conclusion, the part that wraps everything up in a nice bow and leaves you feeling like you've gotten a complete experience. Every single episode of this challenge, all 32, I talk about how to subscribe to this podcast. And you've heard me do this. I say, go to bigpodcast.com/subscribe. Sign up right now. In addition to the podcast, get the free podcast toolkit, 25 episode templates, social media templates. You've heard me do that on every single episode of this podcast. And when you're doing that, and I'm doing that every episode, like I said, I'm here for every episode, editing every episode, publishing every episode. When you're in the middle of it, it feels like overkill. Like, oh man, I've already announced that people should subscribe. I've already announced it in this episode, maybe. Do I really need to do it again? If you're listening to every episode, maybe you think it's overkill. If you're that true blue fan that's following on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, seeing every live stream, reading every email, reading the episode notes, maybe it seems like overkill to you. But most people do not listen to every episode, even when you give them something very specific as far as the number of episodes to listen to. The 30-Day Solo Podcast Challenge. Pretty obvious, right? 30 days. Listen to all 30. But most people skim. They find out what they want. They take what they like. They leave what they don't. And knowing this, you have to announce what you are doing multiple times for it to stick. It's not a perfect process. It's not a fair process, maybe. Your hardcore listeners, they're going to hear it a lot. But people who are with you and they know you, they will appreciate your dedication to what it is that you're doing. They will understand that you don't expect them to be mind readers. I've got a friend of mine, he's on tour a lot. And he'll go out and play a show. And he's good about announcing things. I'm going to be in Texas this week. I'll be in Dallas, Austin, Houston. Make sure you catch me. I'm in Dallas, Austin, Houston. Make sure you catch me. I'm in Dallas, Austin, Houston. He announces where he's going to be a lot. And this is on a podcast, so this is something that's not very specific to these people who are in Dallas, Austin, and Houston. But he's also very specific in the emails that he sends to the people in Dallas, Austin, and Houston. And he told me a funny story one time. He said, man, it never fails if I'm in Texas or wherever I am, that I will get back from that tour and I will have people reply to me. And they said, man, I'm in Dallas or Austin or Houston. Why didn't you tell me you were going to be here? People don't pay attention. We miss things. You've got to announce what you're doing multiple times for anything to stick. Let me give you a podcasting related example. Here's a reminder of those two questions since I've been on a bit of a tangent. The first question, a current struggle or something that you're working on now. The second question, what's something good that is happening right now? Here's an example of those. First one, something that I'm working on. I am building a list and getting more people to subscribe to my podcast. Beyond that, I'm interacting with people and building a strong community around podcasting. I talked about this yesterday when I was talking about mistakes that we have made and sharing those mistakes with people. I used to have a huge list, 80,000 people. I let it go cold, and you can't do that. You have to keep in touch with people if you want to continue a relationship with them. That is people on the internet, that is people off the internet. So something I'm working on now is building a list, which is why you hear me say, if you haven't already done it, go to bigpodcast.com/subscribe. I've got a free podcasting toolkit for you, 25 episode templates, social media templates. That is why you hear me say that. Here's an answer to that second question. The second question being, what's something good happening right now? And that something good is that this work that I'm doing, building that list, building that community, annoying some people, when I say go to bigpodcast.com/subscribe, that's paying off. Everything that I teach you is because I've done it. I eat my own cooking. And this stuff works if you do it. Consistently showing up pays off. The Big Podcast book, I've mentioned it a couple times during this challenge, it's doing great. Not only is it helping me to get my message in the hands of more people, it's also bringing more people to me. I mentioned the book to you and the email list to you because it connects to something that I've talked about throughout this series. What we are doing here is bigger than just a podcast. If you have a message, there are a lot of ways to spread it, and a podcast is just one of those ways. If you think of it like a body, that's your message. Limbs, arms, legs. You've got your podcast, you've got your email, you've got your book, you've got your blog, you've got live speaking, you've got radio. Don't stick with just 4. Be an octopus, a centipede, a millipede. You want as many limbs as possible as long as you're able to do them well. Some people, not made for video. Some people shouldn't be podcasting. You, as a podcaster, I'm going to assume that you're drawn to this. So I'm going to assume that it's right to you. Keep podcasting. If you're drawn to it, do it. And that's related to something else I want to finish up with, something else that's good. You're still here with me. 30 days of this is a lot. So you, by being here, I think that's great. I don't take it for granted. I'm doing 30 days with you. I know how much work it is. So thanks for sticking it out. I love that because this is going to pay off for you big time. You're clarifying your message. You're building your skills. You're attracting people to you because of this. They're doing your marketing for you. They're defending you. When people say, oh, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. The people that you attract to you, they're going to go out and defend you. Think about a big radio host, the one you hate. You go say something bad about him on the internet. What happens? Oh, I like that guy. I like that guy. He's good. And then all their buddies come in and they gang up on you. That's good marketing. Not everybody's going to like you, but the people who do, they're going to defend you. Here's your action step. Get a pen and paper. Outline your episode with 3 things, just like this course, 30 days of solo podcasting. It starts with an intro. There's the 30 days. That's the meat. And it ends with a conclusion. Each of your episodes should have those elements too. The beginning, the middle, and the end. Intro it. Talk about the present. The meat, those 2 questions. 1, a current struggle or something that you're working on now. Second question, what's something good that's happening to you right now? At that point, wrap it up into a nice package. What I did is I said, thank you for sticking with me. You're here with me. You're doing great. And I want you to keep it up because this is important. Keep your outline short and tight. Don't overthink it. Add stories when you can. Stories are important, as I've said. Facts tell, stories sell, so add stories where you can. Personal stories are best. Hit record, go for it, upload it. If you want to send it to me, reach out to me at bigpodcast.com. I'm happy to listen to this or any episode of the 30-Day Solo Podcast Challenge that you do. Send it to me, and when you do that, ask me specific questions, what you want me to listen for. I'll hit you back. That's it for today. Right now, before you go make that outline and hit record, I want you to do this. You know it's coming. Go to bigpodcast.com/subscribe. Subscribe to this podcast. That way you won't miss what's coming up. We'll finish it out strong. All it takes is going to that URL, bigpodcast.com/subscribe. How are you listening to this podcast? iPhone? I've got a button for you. Android, got a button for you. If you want an RSS feed, I've got a button for you. One click is all it takes to subscribe to the 30-Day Solo Podcast Challenge. And while you were there, get that free podcast toolkit, 25 episode templates to make episode creation easy. I've got a guest plan for you. You run your guests through this process, you're not going to have any problems as far as the tech, as far as them knowing what to do, as far as them coming back to you later, changing their mind. Can you edit that out? Nope, it's not a problem because you've already explained how you work via this guest process. Just like your listeners know what they get when they go to your podcast, any guest that you interview, they're going to know what they get too. All of this is free. It's at bigpodcast.com/subscribe. Thank you for listening. I'll see you tomorrow on the next episode of the 30-Day Solo Podcast Challenge.